Welcome to everybody. So today we're going to begin with insight meditation. So then, this class has not been done for the Asian people. So then there may be something, it might be something new. For the European people who already started this class some time ago, this PowerPoint presentation is going to show in a visual way how this the technique of Vipassana as was taught by the Buddha himself. So, and those who already saw this PowerPoint presentation, they can at least refresh their knowledge. Those who won't already remember all these things, they want to skip it, they can join after an hour if they like, and that is the time we are going to practice it, the real practice of Vipassana. So therefore, it is up to you. But it is good to have a look to it again and to remember what are the steps one should follow in order to practice Vipassana. So now, regarding this meditation, it's called insight meditation. In Pali language, it's called Vipassana. So the insight meditation of Vipassana was first taught by the historical Gautama Buddha more than 2,500 years ago, and it is unique in its kind. In fact, it was through insight meditation that he himself achieved enlightenment and became Buddha. Insight meditation exists today in its original form in Theravada Buddhism, which retained the Buddha's original teachings. The word used by the Buddha for this meditation is Vipassana, which means specialized or expanded, and vision, seeing, which Vipassana means a vision and seeing. So, in this way, the seeing Vipassana exposes the truth of the impermanency, the suffering, and the impersonal and unsubstantial nature of all material mental phenomena of existence. And indeed, Vipassana does not use the usual ways of meditation, but the systematic and methodical observation of material and mental phenomena for the penetration into the actual nature, impermanence, suffering, and not self. It includes exercise in mindfulness and awareness, sati sampajanya, that are used to observe and understand the impermanent, unstable, transient nature of all mental and material phenomena, the attachment to which creates our suffering. The main principle in Vipassana meditation is observation of rise and fall of every material and mental phenomenon. Therefore, now what the meditator can see, if you observe, you see that these phenomena rise and they actually fall. So there is nothing static in every material mental phenomenon. Vipassana observation is essentially to observe the rise and fall for every observed phenomenon, which indicates how the observation is to be developed to deepen understanding of the nature of mental and material phenomena under investigation. So therefore now, this discourse has been called the Vipassana discourse, or the Vipassana technique has been taught by the Buddha himself in a sutta, which is called Discourse, which is called the Discourse on the 4 Applications of Mindfulness. Sometimes the word applications, it is translated as foundations of mindfulness. So we have translated it as applications because we have to apply mindfulness by every step, by every moment. So in the Pali language, it is called Satipatthana Sutta. And as the Buddha has already mentioned, this is the direct path to Nibbana. So then, and Satipatthana Sutta is one of the most important and widely studied and practiced discourses of the Buddha, acting as a foundation for mindfulness meditation practice with particular emphasis on the development of insight meditation, Vipassana. It is called the heart of Buddhist meditation. It contains the most most comprehensive explanation of the immediate and straightforward way to achieve the Buddhist goal, Nibbana or Nirvana. It is, as the Buddha calls it, the direct path to the realization of Nibbana. It lays down a complete system in order to train the mind to see with tiny precision the real nature of the body, the feelings, the thoughts, and the mental and material phenomena, and overcome the attachment to them. The Buddha begins this discourse with a statement: this is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the attainment of the true way, for the realization of Nibbana, namely the 4 applications of mindfulness. Why did the Buddha call it the direct path? To distinguish it from other meditations, such as the 10 Kasina meditation, the 4 Brahma Viharas, the 6 recollections, etc. This can lead to Nibbana, but not directly, and can lead to sidetracks. Means they can lead to Nibbana halfway. How? It's called because this kind of meditation produces a high degree of concentration, and this concentration can stabilize the mind, can make the mind very, remove the restlessness of the mind, which can be used, this peace of mind, tranquility of the mind can be used in order to analyze mental and material phenomena. So therefore, they have a kind of limit, the limitation, how much this kind of other meditation can lead. However, Satipatthana leads directly to the final goal, Nibbana. Therefore, the purpose of the 4 applications of mindfulness is the purification of beings from defilements and so forth. So, and as the Buddha says, for a long time, this mind has been defiled by lust, hatred, and delusion. Through the defilements of the mind, beings are defiled. With the cleansing of the mind, beings are purified. So now we're going to explain what are these 4 applications of mindfulness, what the Buddha says. He starts this discourse by giving what's called the objects of observation, how one can apply mindfulness. It is one observation is about the body, which is called Kayanupasana, which one has to apply mindfulness in order to observe the body, to see the nature of the body. And then another observation of the feelings, to observe the feelings and to see the nature of the feelings. Another one is observation of thoughts, which is called Chittanupasana, how to observe the thoughts and to see the nature of them. And another observation is observation of mental and material phenomena, which is called Dhammanupasana, to see any other mental states which arise because of different interactions between thoughts, feelings, and body. So then, therefore now in summary, the meditators actually has to make this observation on the body, on the feelings, on the thoughts, and the mental and material phenomena. And this observation should be done with mindfulness and awareness. So therefore, we have the observation on the body, the feelings, the thoughts, and mental and material phenomena, and also to see the nature of them, which is the rise and fall. That there is nothing static in our body, in our feelings, in our thoughts, and mental material phenomena which occur in us. It's called. All these have the nature of rise and fall. So therefore now, you as a meditator, you can observe what is more obvious to your experience from this, from this application of mindfulness. If the body is more obvious, you can start observing the body. If the feelings are more obvious, more prominent, you can start observing the feelings. If the thoughts are more prominent, you can start observing the thoughts. If the mental and material phenomena are more prominent, you can start observing mental and material phenomena. We're going to explain how this observation can be done. So now, for example, observation of the body, the Buddha explains exactly how one can do so. Because there is a method, a system, how to observe the body. So then, he puts certain steps how to do so. He says, here one abides observing the body as a body, urgent, fully aware, and mindful. So therefore now, urgent is one should be energetic, not lethargic, fully aware and mindful. That means one should not be forgetful. So one must know what the object of observation is and start doing so. So this is how it's called. These are preconditions, because the time one is very sleepy, one can't meditate. The time is very forgetful, one can't meditate. Therefore, these are preconditions, to arouse energy, to arouse one's own memory, one's own mindfulness, so an awareness in order to make the observation. So then the Buddha starts first the observation of the body as a mindfulness of breathing, because the breathing is a very prominent part of our body. It's very gross. You can actually feel how this body expands and contracts because of this breathing process. Of course, now this observation of mindfulness of breathing can be done as a serenity meditation. And we have thought in other classes how to practice serenity meditation of the breathing in order to attain concentration, but can be practiced also as insight vipassana meditation. And this is how we'll show here how to practice vipassana on the breath or the breathing process. So now here we have our body, and it's called for the in breath, for example, you can mentally note in breath. As called for the out breath, you mentally note out breath. So you can observe this in any part of the body. For example, if it is on the nostril or the chest or on the belly, wherever it's more gross, as called, you can observe the in breath and out breath. You have to mentally note as called what you're observing. But then the Buddha is going to explain now how to practice vipassana, insight meditation. And this is the important part here in the sutta to show the main principle of vipassana meditation, which is, as we already mentioned, is observation of rise and fall of every material mental phenomenon. Therefore, now the Buddha is going to explain this principle as called for vipassana meditation. Here he says, one abides observing in the body its nature of rising or its nature of falling or its nature of both rising and falling. Therefore, now what we have already told, this principle appears here so as a vipassana part to see the impermanent nature of this body. So for those who are interested in Pali, here it is the words for the Pali text. Here it says, Samudaya Dhamma Anupasi Vakayasmi Viharati. Samudaya means rise, Dhamma means nature, Anupasi means observing, Kaya means body, and Viharati means abides. Or Vaya Dhamma Anupasi Vakayasmi Viharati. Vaya means fall, Dhamma means nature, Anupasi means observing, Kaya means body, and Viharati means abides. And Samudaya Vaya Dhamma Anupasi means rise and fall as called, and the nature to see, Anupasi means to observe the nature of rise and fall, Samudaya Vaya. So therefore now this observation of mindfulness and awareness has two parts. The first part is knowing the object of the observation, as called, which in this case is the body. So, and then the second part is vipassana, seeing its nature of rise and fall. So therefore now, and in case of the object, it is now the body. In this case is also to see not only the body, it's an object, but see also the nature of how this body or moment per moment rises and falls. Therefore now, this is, in this discourse, we have the first part and the second part also. If one misses the second part, of course, one has not practiced vipassana at all. So now, to be more precise, we're going to explain some more practical things which the meditator can actually observe. For the in-breath, for example, there is expansion of our body. This is the rise. For the out-breath, there is contraction in our body. This is the fall. Therefore, our body all the time expands and contracts, expands and contracts. Whether we are sleeping or walking or sitting or lying down, So our body makes this movement again and again. This how we call it rise and fall. So in this can be continuous. This rise fall can be continuous. It is not one moment and it stops. It is something one can see the continuous rise and fall on this body. So this is how one can start what's called with a breath to observe this rise and fall of the body by this expansion and contraction. So this observation can be done what's called with the in breath. Whenever you what's called the first part, it is to see the in breath, mentally note in breath. So and the second part is to see the rise. The first part again is the out breath, mentally note out breath. And then the second part is to see the fall. So it is not only in breath, out breath, out breath, but to see what is the nature of this in breath and out breath, to see that this nature rise and falls, rise and falls. It's not static. It all the time, it has this kind of impermanent nature. So, and this observation can be done actually the nostrils, can be done on the chest, can be done on the belly, wherever the breath is more prominent, wherever is more obvious, it's called according to the experience of the meditator. It means within the your experience sphere, you can actually identify where this breath occurs, what is more prominent, where you can feel it, and accordingly you can see the in breath and out breath as rise and fall. So you can observe it also in the tip of the nose. For the in breath, as you mentally note in breath, that is a rise. Or for the out breath, you can mentally note out breath, and then is a fall. You mentally note also fall. These words are important to use them in order for the mind to know what it has to observe. If you don't use these words, the mind is not going to tell you what you have to observe. You have to tell the mind what it has to observe. Therefore, now these words are very important to use these words in breath and then rise and out breath fall. Or you can tell in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, and after you start rise, fall, and to see like that. So this can be observed in the tip of the nose. But there is another way also, for example, for the in breath, you can see rise and fall because each in breath is called, it starts, then it stops. There is it's called the beginning and an end. For the beginning, you can see the rise, for the end, you can see the fall. So, and for the out breath also, each out breath has a rise and fall. Means whenever the breath occurs, it's called, so you can see that, that it has a beginning and an end. The beginning is a rise and the end is the fall. So in this way, you can observe it in more detail. It is the same process, but it is more detailed. While the first method is to see it in a more gross way. Here, for example, if you see only in breath is rise and out breath is fall, it is to see in a gross way. While if you see in breath as rise and fall and out breath as rise and fall, you can see in more details. So therefore, but you have to mentally note in order to achieve to be mindful and aware of what you observe. This is one way how to observe the body. There are other ways which the Buddha explains because this body can be observed in different ways. So then, for example, if we walk, we lift our leg, we move it forward and we place it. So by each movement, you can see also there is also a rise and fall. So in this way, it's called, if we walk, this walking meditation, you can see that we lift our leg and we move it in placing. You can observe this rise and fall over again. So if one wants to go in more details, so you can also see how if we walk, we lift up the heel and lift it forwards, move it forwards, lower it, touch it, touch it to the ground and place it on the ground. Here, by every movement, you can see small rise and falls. So therefore, this rise and fall can be observed by every single movement what we do, either in the gross way or in a subtle way. On the meditator can see this rise and fall over and over again. So therefore now this is one way how to observe the body by walking, but there are also other ways. For example, if we sit, if we stand, if we walk and we lay down, these are other ways how you can observe the body. For example, for the sitting, as called, there is all the time a beginning and an end. You can't sit for a long time like that. There is a rise and fall for every sitting. The rise means for the time we start sitting, that is a rise, we continue sitting, and then there is a time when we can't keep our posture, there is a fall. Standing the same, we can't stand like that forever. So there is a kind of limit in our standing. Then therefore now, wherever there is the beginning for standing, there's a rise, whether this is the end, this is the fall. And walking is the same. We can't walk forever. There is a limit. For the beginning is a rise, and for the end is a fall. So lying down the same. We can't lie down forever like that. There is a limit. So you can see that there is a beginning and end for lying. For the beginning is a rise, and the end is a fall. So therefore now one can see that every movement of our body is not static, is all the time changing. So this can be, this rise and fall observation can be extended in other ways also. For example, for the solidity in our body, the liquidity in our body, the heat in our body, the wind in our body, all these are also the nature of rise and fall. There is nothing static in our body which we can call something is permanent within it. There is no permanent substance in our body which can keep our body static. So therefore now, and by observing the body in different aspects, one can actually have some understanding of this body. So therefore now, and the Buddha says, mindfulness that there is the body is simply established in oneself. So here he tells that there is the body. We're going to explain why the Buddha tells there is the body. So, and he says also to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and strong mindfulness. The meaning is there is only the body or a bodily process. So not a being, not a person, not a woman, not a man, not a self, not what belongs to a self, not I, not mine. Not somebody, not what belongs to somebody. Because if one sees this body, how all the time changes. So from moment to moment, even if you go deeper in our body, in our cells, you can see that our cells also, all the time they change. So therefore now, if we try to identify ourselves with this body, we will be misled. Because nothing in this body is static, which we can show this is me, because the time we are going to show this body is already changed. Our cells change and so forth. So now regarding this body and so forth, if we investigate deeper, actually we can't regard it as ourselves, because we got this body from our parents. Now the DNA, what we have in our body, we got it from our parents. So then, and the food we got from our mother, it is hers. This body has been grown because of our mother, and also other conditions. And the care has been given to us. So therefore now, and our mother or father got their bodies from their parents, and their parents got it from their parents. So therefore now it goes at infinitum, where it's called, therefore now we can't call this body ours. We just borrowed this body by using it. But even so, there is nothing static in a body which we could call it me, myself, and what belongs to myself. It is just a temporary, composition of many elements which we call body, but even these elements all the time change. So therefore now the Buddha tells there is only the body or a bodily process. It's not me, it's not myself. So, and this is for the sake of a wide and higher measure of knowledge and mindfulness. This is called Yatha Bhuta Jnana, knowledge of the phenomena as they really are and not as we imagine them to be. And then he says, and one abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. So the meaning is independent, not dependent on craving and speculations or wrong views regarding this body. So therefore now, because we have a lot of craving regarding this body, a lot of speculations and wrong views regarding this body, because we identify ourselves with this body, we cling to this body and have this misconceptions regarding this body. So, and then not clinging to anything in the world one does not cling to anybody, that this is myself or what belongs to myself. So therefore, if one wants to be independent, not to so that is how one can observe this body in a very objective way, not subjectively, not in an emotional way, but in a very objective way, to see the reality of this body and not to identify oneself with this body, not to cling to this body. So that is the liberation from this material body. So another way how we can observe actually ourselves, it is for the observation of feelings, because we don't consist only of the material properties, we consist of mental properties, and feelings belong to this part which is called mental properties. And these feelings have different shades, different emotions, they produce different emotions, and it is good to observe, especially for people who are very, very sensitive on the feelings. So some people, they can observe the feelings better than the body itself, or better than the breath, because the feelings become so more very prominent in their experience, so that they can start observing the feelings. That's why the Buddha says, one abides observing feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware and mindful. So as before, these are the prerequisites. And the observation of the feelings, we have different kinds of feelings. For example, we have a pleasant feeling, we have unpleasant or painful feeling, we have neutral feeling, we have feeling connected with material stimuli, and feeling connected with immaterial or spiritual meditative stimuli. All these feelings can occur, and some people become very sensitive. They can actually take them, the feelings, as object of observation. So to do so, the Buddha gives instructions. Therefore, he says, when feeling a pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a pleasant feeling. When feeling a painful feeling, one understands, I feel a painful feeling. When feeling a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So this last feeling is called neutral feeling. There is neither painful nor pleasant. So this is how to identify these feelings to one's own body or in mind, because if we see, for example, a pleasant object, we have pleasant feelings. If we see an ugly object, we might even call it an unpleasant feeling. So therefore, either in the body or in the mind, wherever it is more prominent, wherever more obvious, that is how to identify this feeling, to name it, to mentally note it, and to be aware of it. That is the first part. But now the second part, it is the insight meditation, which is called Vipassana. Here the Buddha says, one abides observing in feelings the nature of rising or the nature of falling or the nature of rising and falling. This is the rise and fall, which we have already mentioned. And therefore now, that is an important part. And we have already told this observation with mindfulness and awareness has two parts. The first part is knowing the object of observation. The second part is Vipassana, seeing its nature, rise and fall. So therefore now with feelings, this is the object of observation. In this case, it's not the body. Because if the feelings are more prominent, the meditator can take the feelings as starting point how he can practice it. But it is not enough to know the object of observation, to know the feelings. The second part is to see the rise and fall of it, to see how these feelings, they all the time change. There is nothing static in our feelings. They are in constant movement, in constant flux. So that is why one does not identify himself with feelings and so forth. Now, regarding the feelings, of course, there is sometimes these feelings persist. For example, if you have a person has a kind of very painful feeling, sometimes this painful feeling does not go away very quickly. It stays, it does not go. So therefore, between rise and fall, there is a period which is called staying. That's called this kind of continuity of this feeling. So here in another discourse, the Buddha emphasized this point, and he says, here are no feelings. As they arise, as they stay, and as they disappear. So therefore now between the rise and fall, we can see there is another stage which is called staying, the staying period, the continuity period. So therefore we have three phases here, the phase of rise, and the phase of staying, and the phase of fall. So this can be in the case of feelings, because some of these feelings actually, they don't fall immediately. They continue for some time and then all they fall. Therefore, the meditator should be aware of it. If a feeling is called stays, he should mentally note staying. So therefore now for the pleasant feeling in this case, if one observes it, you can mentally note pleasant feeling. If you feel a pleasant feeling, you can mentally note 2, 3, 4 times pleasant feeling. You know that is a pleasant feeling. So you are aware of it. And then they go to the second part to see the rise, staying, or fall. Even pleasant feelings, sometimes they don't go immediately. They stay for some time and only afterwards they fall. The time one feels that they are staying, so the one mentally notes staying. And then when he sees the fall, one can say is fall. Therefore, on a mental note, rise, staying, fall. If you can't see the rise, try to see the staying. If you can't see the staying, try to see the fall. So this is a kind of practice one should use, because these words are very important. Like you see, the first part it is to identify, to name it. It's called what is the object you observe. That is, in this case, a very pleasant feeling. And the second part is to see how this feeling behaves. How does it behave? It rises, stays for some time, and it falls. So that is, we have mentally note it and use this word. Mentally note means we have to use this word, rise or stay or fall. So for the unpleasant feeling, the same, you mentally note unpleasant feeling. If you feel any part of the body, some pain or like that, which is unpleasant, you perceive it as unpleasant, you mentally note unpleasant feeling, and then try to see also the rise, staying or fall of it. And mentally note rise, staying, fall. So therefore, this mental noting is to use the words. For if you see the rise, you mentally note rise. If you see the staying, you mentally note staying. If you see the fall, you mentally note fall. So for neutral feeling, the same. You mentally note neutral feeling, and after you see the rise, staying, fall, and mentally note rise, staying, fall. So by doing so, the Buddha says mindfulness that there is the feeling is simply established in oneself. We're going to explain what the Buddha means here, there is the feeling. So, and this is to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and strong mindfulness. The meaning is there is only the feeling or a feeling process, not a being, not a person, not a woman, not a man, not a self, not what belongs to a self. Not I, not mine, not somebody, not what belongs to somebody. Because we tend to identify with our feelings. It's called to cling to our feelings. That is how we suffer. Because we think it is me who feels, it is me who has the pain. what's called, who have this unpleasant feeling. It is me who are losing this pleasant feeling, because these pleasant feelings also who are losing them. They don't stay forever. However much pleasant feeling there is, however much happy feeling there is, so very fulfilling feeling, it is not going to stay. We can't take this feeling, put it in a bottle, seal it, and tell, may this feeling never disappear from me. That's impossible. So therefore now, because we cling to this feeling, we want to preserve the pleasant feeling, and to avoid unpleasant feeling, there's a struggle inside us. And this struggle causes suffering. But the time we don't identify with these feelings, we don't cling to these feelings, then we can see the impermanent, the transcendent nature of these feelings, and don't cling to them. Don't tell this is me, this is myself, and so forth. And this is for the sake of a wider and higher measure of knowledge and mindfulness. This is again called Yathabhuta Jnana, knowledge of the phenomena as they really are and not as we imagine them to be. And again, the Buddha says, and one abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. The meaning is independent, not dependent on craving and speculation or wrong views regarding feelings. Not clinging to anything in the world, one does not cling to any feeling that this is myself or what belongs to myself. Therefore, one does not get dragged along by these feelings. One does not get cheated by these feelings who just come and go. So another aspect how we can observe ourselves is also observation through of our thoughts. So for some people, actually, if they go to observe the thoughts, it's more easy for them because the mind is all the time busy thinking something, many desires, many delusions, sometimes anger arises. So all the time the mind is so busy. If they sit for meditation, they can't feel the breath. They can't feel any feelings. If you tell them observe your feelings, they have no clue how to observe. Why? Because their mind is overcrowded with many thoughts. So in that case, they can go and observe the thoughts. This is how the Buddha is going to explain how to observe these thoughts. Because there are different varieties of thoughts, and the Buddha classifies them in different categories so that the meditator can observe them in an easy way. So then here he says, one abides observing the thoughts as thoughts, ardent, fully aware, and mindful. This is also what he had wrote already before. This applies also for the thoughts, to be aware and mindful. So, and he explains, one understands a thought with lust or desire as a thought with lust or desire. Many thoughts can come, which actually it is propelled, we can tell it, by desire. So the desire is behind all these thoughts, or lust can be also like that. That's why some people, if they want to to concentrate somewhere, they can't do that. So because they have a lot of desires, a lot of cravings, so which can agitate the mind. So then in that case now, if one identifies this kind of desire inside oneself, one should understand that is there. One should recognize it. So that is the first step. And then the Buddha says, one understands a thought without lust or desire as a thought without lust or desire. So if desire goes away, then there is another thought which is no desire. By comparing these two thoughts, desire, no desire, the meditator actually can see the contrast between them. Because if there is desire inside us, there is some tension. There is some agitation in the mind. But if there is no desire in us, there is some relaxation, some calmness in the mind, some peacefulness of the mind. So therefore now, by contrasting these thoughts, one can see the difference between them, how the mind changes. If the desire is there, it is very intense. So, but if there's no desire, it becomes calm. So one can see how the mind fluctuates. So, and then again, another thought is anger. And then Buddha says, one understands a thought with hate, anger, as a thought with hate or anger. So that is one quality which is very common in many people, for anger to arise in any moment, because we get annoyed for so many things in everyday life. And what causes anger is actually we get annoyed with something. It means with undesired things, as called things we don't desire, they happen. This is how we get angry with it. If we desire something, there is an obstacle, we can't obtain it, immediately we get angry. With people, with situations also. If we walk under a tree and the leaf falls on our face, we may get angry with the tree also. So therefore now, any small annoyances can spark inside us many, as called small angers, which can actually become more strong. If one meditates, one feels anger inside oneself, so one can actually mentally note it as anger. And again, one understands a thought without hate or anger as a thought without hate or anger. So if that anger goes away, so there is a thought without anger. In this case, one can again contrast the two together and see how if there is anger in our mind, there is tension. But there is no anger, there is calmness, there is peacefulness. So in this case, also one can see how the mind fluctuates between tension and non-tension due to these thoughts. Another category of thoughts is delusion. Therefore, the Buddha says one understands a thought with delusion as a thought with delusion. Now, delusion is actually thoughts which are have lack of knowledge. Now, for example, if you have a doubt regarding the matter, how to do this, how to do that, the mind is suspended, does not know what direction to take. It is a lack of knowledge which the mind has and is diluted in diluted frequency, to tell like that, when the mind does not know what to do. In this case, sometimes it daydreams, it fantasizes. If there is a worry, also there's called fantasies. If there is anxiety, sometimes the mind is in delusion. So all these kind of thoughts, we can call them deluded thoughts because they have no direction. The mind is completely roaming around, does not know what direction to take. So therefore, this is kind of thought with delusion. And then the Buddha says, one understands the thought without delusion as a thought without delusion. Now, if there is delusion, there is usually a tension in our mind, but there is no delusion, there is calmness and peacefulness. So therefore, if one contrasts these two kinds of thoughts, one can see how the mind fluctuates from delusion, which has tension, to no delusion, who has no tension. So this is the first part of this observation, how to observe it. Now the second part comes now. This is the insight meditation, which is vipassana. Here the Buddha says, one abides observing the thought, the nature of rising, or the nature of falling, or the nature of both rising and falling. Here again, this principle of rise and fall comes again. So as in the feelings, also in the thoughts, some of these thoughts actually, if they rise, they don't fall immediately. They may persist. They can continue. Therefore, we can call also that some of the thoughts, they stay, and they all will fall. Therefore, here there are again three phases: the rise, staying, and fall. So now this observation of mindfulness and awareness here again has two parts. The first part is knowing the object of observation, and the second part is seeing the vipassana. It is seeing its nature of rise and fall. The object of observation in this case is not feelings, not the body, but the thoughts. So, and one can see the rise and fall of them. So then one tip is here. Now, one tip is here that if you can't know exactly what a particular thought is, you may grossly understand it as thought, as thoughts or thoughts. So, and you mentally note thought or thoughts. And you can see also the rise, staying, and fall of them. So, and you mentally note rise, staying, and fall. So these words are very important. first identify what kind of it's called that the mind is busy with thoughts, and you mentally note thoughts grossly. And after you can see how these thoughts, they rise, stay, and fall. If you can't see the rise, you can mentally note staying, as long as these thoughts stay. And after, when you see the fall, you mentally note fall. So this is how, as called, one can see the practice in two parts also. The first part is the what's called to know the object, and the second part is to see its nature of rise, staying, and fall. So, but if one wants to, many of these thoughts persist, they don't go in melody, one can identify, try to know, to understand what kind of thought is. If there is a thought with lust or desire, you mentally note thought with lust or desire, and then you can see how it's called, try to see the rise, staying, and fall, and mentally note rise, staying, fall. If you can't see the rise, you can see the fall. Sorry. If you can't see the rise, you may see the staying, and mentally note staying, as long as this thought with desire stays. And then if you see the fall, you mentally note fall. So, and for thought without desire or without lust or desire, you mentally note thought without lust, without desire, and try to see the rise, staying, and fall, and mentally note rise, staying, fall. If there is thought with anger, you mentally note thought with anger, and try to see the rise, staying, fall, and mentally note rise, staying, fall. If there is thought without anger, you mentally note thought without anger, and try to see the rise, staying, fall, and mentally note rise, staying, fall. If there is thought with delusion, you mentally note thought with delusion, and then try to see a rise, staying, fall, and mentally note rise, staying, fall. If there is a thought without delusion, you mentally note thought without delusion, and try to see the rising, staying, fall, and mentally note rising, staying, fall. So by doing so mindfulness that there is a thought is simply established in oneself, the Buddha says, to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and strong mindfulness. The meaning is, there is only the thought or the thought process, not a being, not a person, not a woman, not a man, not a self, not what belongs to a self, not I, not mine, not somebody, or not what belongs to somebody. Here again, one can see that in this thought, there is nothing static, everything is changing. The time we are going to say, this thought is mine, that thought has already gone. So this thought is I, me, that thought is already gone. So therefore, but what we do it is all the time we have this fallacy. It's called this misconception regarding these thoughts. We identify with them, we can get dragged along with them. We become so much emotional about these thoughts. So we are actually dragged on this stream of thoughts, and we suffer because we get lost in this kind of bubble of thoughts. So in this way, if one can identify this thought that is not me, is not mine, one does not cling to them. And this is for the sake of a wide and higher measure of knowledge and mindfulness. This is again called Yatabhuta Jnana, knowledge of the phenomena as they really are, and not as we imagine them to be. And then the Buddha says, and on abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. The meaning is again, independent, not dependent on craving, tanha, and speculation or wrong views regarding the thoughts. So, and not clinging to anything in the world and does not cling to any thought that this is myself or what belongs to myself. So therefore now, if one wants to have liberation from this kind of clinging towards the thoughts, to be independent, that is to see the non-static nature of them, the impermanent nature of them, the transcendent nature of them, because we adjust these thoughts all the time. If we get disappointed, we try to fix something in these thoughts which never lasts. So that is our struggle and our suffering because we identify with our thoughts. So, and then the Buddha is going to explain about this observation of mental material phenomena, because some people can practice this in an easy way. So we're going to explain how this can be done. So what are these mental immaterial phenomena? How this practice can be done? This is a little bit for more advanced meditators, but we have witnessed that some meditators can start with this practice also. And therefore, the Buddha explains how to do so. And he says, one abides observing mental immaterial phenomena as mental immaterial phenomena, urgent, fully aware, and mindful. Here again, these are prerequisites to be energetic and fully aware, not forgetful. So therefore, now this observation has to be done like a scientist which wants to understand a phenomenon. Now, a scientist does not modify this phenomenon. Okay, he wants to see them in a natural state. So to see them how they occur as they are, as called, in the very natural state, and then observe them to understand, as called, them fully. So to do so, one should be energetic and not forgetful. Even a scientist is forgetful, he is never able to understand this phenomenon. Therefore, this observation is a first step for knowledge, for real knowledge. If we don't observe phenomena again and again, we are never going to understand it. So whatever is achieved by science today, it is through systematic methodical observation. So something similar happens here in this observation, what's called the meditator. It is who aspires for real knowledge. He has to be energetic and mindful, not forgetful of what he has to observe. That's why the Buddha gives his advice again and again. So then, and here now, how this observation of mental material phenomena can be done. The Buddha gives different aspects how this can be done, but I will give you an aspect which is somehow for beginners, it is they can start observing it. So then now we have the sense organs, for example, the eye. We have also sense object, for example, visual objects. So every time we see an object, feelings arise. All right. Now, if it is a beautiful object, we have pleasant feelings. If it is an ugly object, we have unpleasant feelings. There is interaction between our eye and the visual objects. So because of visual object, our moods change, our intentions will change. So therefore, now this sense object plays a big role for our mental states, for our moods, our dispositions, our intentions, our decisions. So, and that is how the meditator can understand the influence of this sense object in the mind. So in this case, now we have, for example, the eye and the visual object. If a color, for example, strikes the eye, or light strikes the eye, so this has impact to the mind. So, and this is called, is impact to the mind. So I can see the meditator, how the feelings which arise in the mind, the thoughts which arise in the mind. Because why? Because of the visual object. So usually thoughts and emotions which arise in our mind, it is because we come into contact with sense objects, for visual objects. And this visual object can influence our decisions, our mood, our dispositions. So in this case now, what means mental and material phenomena is where material phenomena which can change our mental states. So without our knowledge, sometimes we feel very depressed, and because we have seen something unpleasant. We did not want it to feel depressed, but we feel now depressed because we have seen something which influenced our mind. So from where this depression came? So if we observe, you can see that a sense object, maybe a visual object, was so strongly influenced us, so ultimately depression came in us. We never call depression come in me. We never call this depression stay with me. But it came, it stays with us. And it's difficult to get it out sometimes. So here we're stuck. So by observing this phenomenon, I can see how I can overcome this kind of identification with these emotions, how I can see what are the causes and conditions, how these feelings and emotions come in our mind. So that is how this this observation is good for some meditators. They like it very much, how to do so. So therefore now, in this case now, we have actually, because of visual object, the strike is called in the eye, and then we have a mental state. This can influence our mind. So the same with the ear, we have sounds, and these sounds also play a big role for our moods and dispositions. Our thought change, our emotion change, our mood change, our disposition change, our decision change. So sound can influence us in many aspects. So therefore, if a sound comes in our mind, if it's pleasant or unpleasant, this also has impact on our mind. So this is how actually sounds play a big role for our dispositions. So this is how I can start observing the sound. For example, if one hears a sound, one mental notes sound, 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 sound. And then we're going to see in the Vipassana part how to see how the sound is impermanent. So then this is we're going to explain first the rest of the second part. We explain now the first part, how to be aware of the sound, how to be aware of the visual object. The time we see something, we can tell seeing, seeing, seeing. The time we hear something, we can tell hearing, hearing, or sound, sound. So then actually, that is how we can start doing this meditation. Now, the nose also play, as called, we have this nose and also we have smells. We play also a big role in our life. Pleasant smells, what we smell, also unpleasant smells. They also play a role for our good moods, bad moods, as called, and so forth, in our decisions, in our thoughts which come in our mind. Therefore, if a smell comes, that also an impact on the nose and also impact on our mind. So the tongue also, and through the taste. Taste also play a big role. What we taste through the food we eat, what is pleasant taste, unpleasant taste, this play a big role for our moods. If there is something pleasant, we feel so happy. So if it is unpleasant, we feel so depressed. Why? Because the food was not, there was not enough salt, was not too much sweet, and all these things, we feel depressed. Therefore, now, if you observe this phenomenon, how taste also play a big role for our moods, so you can see that also taste also have a big impact in our mind. So the body is the same. We have the body and we come in touch with tangible object. And these tangible objects also play a big role for our moods and dispositions. For example, if there is some very soft cloth, we touch it, we feel so good. But there's something rough, very dirty cloth and so forth, we feel it disgust. So then this kind of emotion can change within us, can cause us sometimes depression because the clothes we wear, it are very, are not so soft in the way we like them. So, or if they are too soft, it's very nice and so forth, we feel happy. So therefore now these tangible things can cause a lot of emotions and thoughts and disposition and decision for our mind. No, it is not only clothes. Many things we touch play a big role. If we touch soft things or rough things, whatever it is, so we feel pleasant or unpleasant. So therefore, tangible things also impact in our mind. So, and then whatever comes now from in our mind, can be from visual object, for sound, for smells, for taste and tangibles, they boil in our mind, to tell like that. All this kind of soup becomes like a soup in our mind. And then we produce what? Ideas. Ideas. What do with this object and so forth, how to behave and so forth. We have different ideas as called how this object as called, you can see how this object also influence our ideas. So ideas, emotions, and so forth, decisions, what we do in life. So this is a kind of mechanism which occurs every moment in our mind. So you can, the meditator who meditates on this mental material phenomena can see behind the whole mechanism, how our mind gets influenced, how also, as called, we sometimes take decisions, or sometimes we repent, and that is how we also suffer. So then And ideas on the other part also influence our mind. Now, what we think influence our mind also. Therefore, there is interaction between mind and ideas. So this is how to identify this object, but this is not enough to understand this is what happens in our mind, but it's not enough. Now comes the insight meditation part. The Buddha explains. He says, honor by its observing the mental and material phenomena, the nature of rising, or the nature of falling, or the nature of both rising and falling. So here again, one can see that the Buddha speaks the Vipassana part, which one see the rise and fall of this phenomena. Because either it's called sound, smell, taste, all this object all the time change. There is nothing steady in them. So, and the emotions they produce, they also are not steady, they are not static. They all the time change. Here one can see the rise and fall in every moment. So they found that this observation with mindfulness and awareness has two parts. The first part is knowing the object of observation. The second part is Vipassana, seeing its nature of rise and fall. In this case, the object of observation is mental and material phenomena. And the Vipassana part is to see its rise and fall. So for what we have explained up to now, with this sense organ, sense object, one can see that everything is changing here. One can see the rise, staying of all this phenomena. If, for example, hear sound, we mentally note sound, we can see that this sound stays, and after sometimes it falls. No sound is actually permanent, static. It holds a time. It's called, and can see there is a kind of vibrations of waves of sounds who come and go. Therefore, if it is a pleasant sound, one does not feel pleasant feelings. One doesn't get influenced by this pleasant sound by seeing its impermanent nature. If it is unpleasant sound, one doesn't feel unpleasant because one sees the impermanent nature of this sound. Smell is the same. If one smells something, so one does, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, one does not feel internally pleasant or unpleasant. One sees the smell, the impermanent nature of the smell. One sees how the smells also rise and stays and falls. One does not get influenced by the smell. The same with the taste, the same with the tangibles, the same also with visual objects. So therefore, by seeing the rise, staying, and fall, you can mentally note rise, staying, and fall of these sense objects. And also, if this sense object can arise feelings in us or ideas in us and so forth, thoughts, one can also observe these feelings or ideas and so forth. So either externally or internally, one can see how our mind all the time fluctuates between this sense object and and how this object can influence us and how we can overcome this influence by seeing the impermanent nature of rise and staying and fall of them. So by doing so, the Buddha says, mindfulness that there are mental and material phenomena is simply established in oneself to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and strong mindfulness. The meaning is, there are only mental and material phenomena, not a being, not a person, not a woman, not a man, not a self, not what belongs to a self, not I, not mine, not somebody, not what belongs to somebody. This is for the sake of a wider and wider and higher measure of knowledge and mindfulness. This again is called Yata Bhuta Jnana, knowledge of the phenomena as they really are and not as we imagine them to be. And one abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. So the meaning is again independent, not dependent on craving, speculation, or wrong views regarding this mental and material phenomena. Not clinging to anything in the world. In the world, one does not cling to any mental and material phenomena that these are myself or what belongs to myself. Now, one point I want to make here, it is all through now, there are these 4 applications of mindfulness about the body, the feelings, and the thoughts and mental and material phenomena. So one can choose what is more obvious to oneself. But in this case now, also the object is different. For example, the body is different, the feeling is different, the thoughts are different, and so forth. They have a common characteristic. And we're going to see that because of this common characteristic, one can get this concentration by insight meditation. This is called Vipassana Samadhi. Because on the common characteristic is that all these phenomena, whether the body, the feelings, the thoughts, and so forth, they have the same characteristic of rise and fall. That is why the mind gets actually concentrated, because this is constant. Whenever you see the body, you can see the rise and fall. Wherever you see the feelings, you can see rise and fall. Whenever you see the thoughts or mental material phenomena, you can see rise and fall. This does not change. This becomes constant. That is what actually the mind gets concentrated, because there is something is repeated again and again. So this rise and fall is repeated for the body, for the feelings, for the thoughts, and so forth. That is why one get this kind of concentration by insight meditation, which is the Buddha is going to he speaks about the concentration. He says like that. And what is the development of concentration, samadhi bhavana, that leads to mindfulness and awareness? He says here are those feelings as they arise, as they stay, and as they disappear. Again, here, what he says is to see the feelings, how they rise, stay, and fall. Okay, that is the characteristic of the feelings. But this characteristic is not only the feelings, there is also in other perceptions. And he says, on those perceptions, as they arise, as they stay, as they disappear. So that is again to see the rise, staying, and fall. Again, he says, on those thoughts, as they arise, as they stay, and as they disappear. So here again, one can see rise, staying, and fall. Therefore now, all through this object are different, feelings, perception, thoughts, mental and material phenomena are different, but they have the same characteristic of rise, staying, and fall. This is the samadhi the Buddha says. So therefore now we have in samatha meditation, we have this kind of samadhi. This is called samatha samadhi, because one concentrates only on an object, does not change the object. One concentrates on an object, for example, on the breath only. So without seeing the nature of the breath as rise and fall, but in Vipassana, one can see this rise and fall of every phenomenon. So that is, and whenever one sees this phenomena, is the same. Rise and fall of breath, of thoughts, of feelings, and so forth. This is constant. That's why the Buddha speaks about this kind of samadhi, which is attained through Vipassana. So now regarding this rise and fall, the Buddha emphasizes, spoken about it in many other suttas, in many other discourses. It's not only Satipatthana Sutta, he speaks about it. Here we have, for example, in Dhammapada, which is a very famous book, there he says, even though one should live 100 years without comprehending how all things rise and fall, yet better indeed is a single day's life of one who comprehends how all things rise and fall. And the last words of the Buddha were, all phenomena have the nature of fall. Try to understand this with diligence. So this is how the Buddha emphasized this aspect many times. Even his last words, he told his disciples, try to see the nature of fall of all phenomena. There is nothing permanent. So, and again, those who attain the attainment of the stream entry, which is called Sotapannahood, they also understand whatever has the nature to rise, or that has the nature to cease. This is the Pali text for those who want to see the Pali text. And this phrase occurs in every time a Sotapanna attains his Sotapannahood. In many suttas, one can find this statement. It's a statement of every Sotapanna who attains the Nibbana. The first time he sees Nibbana, it is because he understood that whatever is nature to rise, all that is the nature to cease. Therefore, he gives completely all clinging, all attachment, all identification towards any of these mental and material phenomena. That's why he becomes independent, he gets liberated, and he sees for the first time Nibbana. This understanding of Sotapannahood is called the eye of the Dhamma, Dhammachakku, that is the eye of true nature of all phenomena. And what is the true nature of all phenomena? Here we have it, the nature, rise and fall. That is the true nature of all phenomena. This is the eye. One can see this as called the eye of understanding. So, having seen this truth through the observance of rise and fall, Sotapanna has severed the fetter of self-identity view or personality view, a skeptical doubt, and also adherence to rules and austerities with the belief that only these can bring about purification or liberation. So many people are attached to these rules and austerities, thinking that only this can bring purification and liberation. In Buddhism, we know there are many rules. The Buddha put many ethical rules. It is good to observe them. There's nothing wrong with them. But if one thinks that only this will bring purification and liberation, this is a kind of wrong view. So therefore now, a Sotapanna has not this wrong view. He knows that only rules and regulations is a help, an aid for one's practice. But one needs to go further to practice Vipassana in order to attain liberation. Now the Sotapanna understood that the real liberation is attained through Vipassana. And these rules and austerities, they can help to some extent to restrain oneself, but are not, can't bring about purification, liberation. Therefore, the wrong view that only rules and austerities can bring liberation and purification, liberation, the Sotapanna has not this idea. He knows that it is the Vipassana itself which actually can ultimately bring the liberation. And he now possesses the intellect, which is excellent and liberating, leading to the complete cessation of existential suffering. Now, to give a summary of what we have told, now the observation with mindfulness awareness has two parts. The first part is knowing the object of observation. The second part is Vipassana, seeing its nature, rise and fall. In this case, the object of observation can be the body, and to see the nature of rise and fall, can be the feelings and see the nature of rise and fall, can be the thoughts and see the nature of rise and fall, mental and material phenomena and see nature of rise and fall. Here you can see in this Vipassana part, one can see the same thing, but the object can be different, the body, feeling, and so forth. So, and this is constant. Rise and fall is something constant the meditator sees. That's why he can attain this kind of samadhi, which is called Vipassana samadhi. So now the observation of the body, on the feelings, and the thoughts, and mental and material phenomena. And you can start whatever is more obvious to you. You can start with the body. If it is the breath is more prominent, you can start with feeling the breath and practice Vipassana on the body by seeing the rise, as called the rise and fall of the breath. You can start and so forth, and or you can start with the feelings. You can start with mental and material phenomena, with the thoughts, according to what is more obvious. Therefore, observe what is more obvious, evident, noticeable to your experience. So with the body, you can start with the breath, observing the breath, and then with the feelings, if the feelings are more prominent, more evident, you can start observing the feelings. If the thoughts are more evident, more prominent, you can start observing the thoughts. If the mental material phenomena are more prominent, you can start observing mental material phenomena. Now, in summary, with a thought, for example, with a breath, for example, if you breathe in, you mental note in breath, and then try to see the rise. So then for the out breath, mental note out breath, and try to see the fall. So that is one way. You can actually see it in the tip of your nose, on the chest, on the belly, wherever it is more prominent. So then for the, again, you can observe the, if you observe the breath on the tip of the nose, for the in breath, you mentally note rise. For the out breath, you mentally note fall. So that is one way, that is a gross way. Or you can see for the in breath itself, rise and fall. For the out breath itself, rise and fall. As and mental note, in breath, rise and fall, out breath, rise and fall. So for the observation of the feelings, we have already mentioned there is a pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or painful feeling, neutral feeling. So these are the most prominent feelings. Try to see the rise, staying, and fall of them. Mental note, rise, staying, fall. So for the observation of thoughts, you can actually take the thoughts as grossly. You mental note thoughts, and try to see the rise and fall. Or if you can identify the thoughts, what kind of thought this is, if it is with anger, with desire, delusion, you mentally note it and try to see the rise, staying, and fall of these feelings, of these thoughts. So, and mental note, rise, staying, and fall. For the observation of mental material phenomena, so we want to explain them. If they are visual objects, sound, smell, taste, and tangibles, whatever it comes into contact with your sense organs, you can mentally note them. Now, for example, if you meditate, you can see a sound, you can hear a sound. So you can mentally note sound, and try to see how this sound rises, stays, and falls. So smell the same, if they smell in your room, or taste and so forth, tangible things, you can do it in any other times of your meditation. So this is how you can observe mental material phenomena, or you can observe also internally what impact the sound or smell or taste has in your mind. So that is, and then identify this, what the feeling you feel or the thought you have, and then see how this feeling or thought also rises, stays, and falls. A mental note, rise, stay, and fall. This is in brief how this practice should be done. I will conclude my explanations here now. So then I will, before we start the practice, I will devote 5 minutes to explain you very practically what you have to do. Because all this explanation actually can be explained in a very brief time. Maybe within 5-10 minutes, the teacher can explain this. It's not a big deal. I showed you this PowerPoint presentation with the slides for you to have somehow a very visual way how to understand this phenomenon. So then now, before we start the practice, we usually give about 5 minutes to participants to ask any question they like. Whatever you want to clarify something, you can ask them. So those who are new in the Zoom, I will explain how to ask a question. If you go with an arrow with your finger on the Zoom screen, on the bottom of the Zoom screen, you can see there are some small icons like a microphone, and then there is also an icon which says chat. So you can click there and you can type your question, and after you type, you can click enter in your keyboard, and then this will appear on the chat box. Then we know we want to ask something. Another way it is to go to another small icon which says a small face, which says reactions. In that case, you can click the palm, and then we are going to understand that you want to ask a question, and we will unmute you because most of the microphones are muted. So then this is how you can ask any questions. So there is one question from Regina. What is meant by mental and material phenomena exactly? I already explained this. For example, if we see material phenomena is a sound. Let's see the sound, material phenomena. These are waves of sound, of the sound. This is a material phenomena. So, but this, if we hear the sound, we might get some feelings because of the sound. If the sound is pleasant, let's say you hear your it's called a music which you are fond of, then you feel good. The other person may hear the same music, might not like it. Okay, these are preferences, but it is an impact on your mind. So you can see how material phenomena like sounds have impact in our mind. So if it is pleasant, you can have a pleasant feeling. This is a mental phenomenon. Pleasant mental feeling is a mental phenomenon. Therefore, material phenomena has impact in our mental phenomena. So, which is feeling can be our thoughts, our decisions. These are mental phenomena. So, in the same way now, this sound is unpleasant. So, we may feel as called unpleasant. Some may be depressed because you had some melancholic music. Sometimes very depressed music, and you feel also very depressed. So then you can see how sounds, which are material things, material phenomena, can influence our mental states, mental phenomena, which are feelings, thoughts, moods, dispositions, even decisions we make in life. So therefore now this is interaction between material and mental phenomena. This is what we mean with mental and material phenomena. But it's not only sound, smells, taste, things we touch. All these are material phenomena. So then, visual things, what we see, pictures and everything, so colors, shades, and shapes. So all these are sense object, it's called material phenomena, which can influence our mind. So by observing them, one can actually understand how we are, because we don't understand how the mechanism is in our mind, how the mind gets involved with this phenomena, we also suffer. Sometimes we feel happy, or sometimes we feel unhappy. And our mind fluctuates all the time. This is how by observing this mental phenomena, one can overcome this fluctuation of the mind. And that does not get influenced by them, does not can actually cling to them, does not identify with them, does not get dragged along by them. Joland asked the question, why to focus on unpleasant feelings? Isn't it better only positive feelings? Yes, this is what most people are chasing. Actually, because we have a distinction, this duality of unpleasant feelings. So whatever we lose the pleasant feeling, the positive feeling, we feel unpleasant. Okay? So then what we do it is we get excited about positive feeling. Yes, yes, yes. If we lose it, we feel depressed. Okay? How long this feeling can last? We can start observing positive feeling. How long it lasts? We can see this is also impermanent. See how it's called arises, stays, how long it stays. Can this positive feeling, can you put this positive feeling in a bottle, seal it, and tell yourself, it may never go away from me? There's no way. It will go. The time it goes away, what happens? You feel that pleasant feeling. So now by observing, only positive feeling is like a person who has only one eye. Only one eye. Okay? So he sees only the positive things of life. But if some unpleasant thing in life, he gets upset. Immediately we get upset if something unpleasant happens in our mind. Now, the person who observes both feelings, he has two eyes. Okay? Because he can see that the pleasant feeling change, the unpleasant feeling also change. Therefore, for him does not make a difference. Therefore, he can go beyond this duality of pleasant, positive, what is not positive, negative. Okay? There is no positivity or negativity for them. All are the same. They change, they rise and fall. He does not get influenced by positive feelings or by not positive feelings. his mind is become equanimous. He has equanimity himself, does not fluctuate. This is the inner peace. If you want to, what means peace? When the mind is in equilibrium, does not change, does not actually fluctuate from positive to negative. This is how we must understand, so that to observe both feelings. This is Vipassana. We don't try to see positive thing is good and this is bad. No. All are the same platform. The same platform. Because all they change. They have the same nature, rise and fall. So this is how one can start. Whenever it's unpleasant feeling, one should not try to put it behind a wall. Tell, no, I don't want to see it. No, I don't want to see it. See it. What can you see? This is also rise and fall. There is no difference. Pleasant feeling is there. This is also rise and falls. So therefore, one doesn't expect pleasant feelings to come. Because we expect pleasant feelings to come. If they don't come, we get disappointed. Why did not come? We get upset. So therefore now we expect all the time people to come us and offer us flowers. To have roses in their hands, to open our doors and tell, good morning, I bring you this pleasant pleasant things in your life. We dream about such things. If they don't come, we get disappointed. So we all the time expect something pleasant to happen in our life. If we don't get it, we would get upset. But with this meditation, there is no difference. Pleasant feelings, they all rise and fall. Unpleasant feelings all rise and fall. We put in the same platform. There is no duality there. In this aspect. Okay? Yolanda, okay? I don't know. There is another question from Sia V. Can we focus on body pain as meditation object in Vipassana? Yes, if body pain is prominent, as I told you, some people have problem with these feelings. They are very sensitive on the feelings of the body. So then, in this case now, if pain is more prominent, one can take the pain and see it very objectively, not in a subjective way, oh, this is my pain. No, we try to tell it pain. You can mentally note it, or unpleasant feeling. You can mentally notice unpleasant feeling. So, and that is the first part. The second part is to see what happens with this pain. So if you observe again and again, you can see that this pain does not stay for long. There is a certain limit, there is time period. It stays. You can repeat staying. As long as this pain stays. And after, you can sometimes it disappears. You did not tell this pain to go. No, it went by itself. Because that is the nature of this phenomenon. There is nothing static. So if you observe it again and again, you will be to see it more objectively, and you don't identify with his pain. You don't tell, oh, this is my pain. Why it came to me? Because the time you identify what you do, it is you intensify this pain. You make it a mental pain also. So in that case now, what we want to know, it is that to notice the nature of this pain and not to feel mental pain at least. You know it's there, but you don't feel mental pain, that is me, myself. So in that case now, it is for Vipassana, it is once you see the rise and fall of this feeling, so you see something permanent, so you don't get affected by it. You don't get influenced by it. And you can have your equanimity in mind. To see it something very objectively and I call detached, in a very detached way. This is the aim of that, to see this thing, something detached. in a detached way. So therefore, the body pain can be taken as meditation object in Vipassana. There is another question from Ditta Dhamma. I will answer this question later after we make the meditation practice, because now many people are expecting to meditate. It is not a question and answer session here. Only we try to concentrate on more very specific questions. So therefore we going to answer any other questions later. All right, now for the time being, we're going to start because more than 5 minutes have passed. So then, now to start this practice is not difficult. Actually, you take things easy. We don't try to manipulate things, okay, about the body, the breath. We don't try to manipulate your feelings, to try to manipulate your thoughts, all right? We don't try to visualize anything, to create anything. Everything is already there. What you try to see, it is what is more obvious in your experience. So now, if you sit, for example, straight your body, you can try to sit in the posture of meditation with the spine erect. So I will suggest you start with the breath, because the breath for many people is very gross. Something can observe because the body all the time expands and contracts. So you can actually draw your attention to the breath, either in the tip of the nose, of the chest, or your belly. Whatever is more prominent, you can start observing the breath. You can, for the in-breath, you mentally note in-breath. For the out-breath, you mentally note out-breath. In-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, 3-4 times. And then start to see what? To see what happens with this breath. You can see for the in-breath, if it enters the body, this is a rise. When it exceeds the body, the out-breath, it is a fall. So anytime our body breathes in is a rise, anytime exhales is the fall. You can start observing rise and fall, rise and fall. Use these words. We have to use these words mentally in order to direct your attention. So rise and fall, rise and fall, rise, as long as you can. So, and the place should be wherever you feel it, you can understand it. So you have to choose the place according in your experience. Whatever is more prominent, more obvious to you, more perceptible within your experience. So afterwards, if thoughts come in your mind, which actually do not allow you to observe the breath. So, and this occupy the mind so strong, then you can direct your mind towards the thoughts. So then, and you grossly, you can mentally note thoughts, 2-3 times, and then try to see what happens with these thoughts. What is the nature of them? Then if you observe, you can see that these thoughts rise, stay, and then they fall. Sometimes they rise and fall very swiftly. Sometimes they persist, they stay longer. As long as they stay, you mentally note. You use this word staying, and after you see the fall, you mentally note fall. So in this way now, as called, you can observe that these thoughts also have the same nature. As the breath rises and falls, thoughts also rise and fall. All right? There is nothing static in these thoughts. So, but if there are some thoughts who persist again and again, they come again and again many times, you can also go to see what kind of thoughts these are. If there is thought with desire, with anger, or delusion, you can mentally note thought with desire, with lust, can be desire, can be craving, and so forth. You can mentally note thought with desire 2-3 more times and try to see, go to the second part to see the nature of these thoughts, which rise, stay, and fall. If it is with anger, you mentally note thoughts with anger 2-3 times, and then try to see the nature of rise and fall. If there is with delusion, you mentally note thoughts with delusion and try to see the nature of rise, staying, and fall. So it is the same procedure. Now, this rise, staying, and fall does not change. It is only the object which can change. Different thoughts, but they have the same principle, the same, what's called, line of behavior, the same nature of rise, staying, and fall. So while you're meditating on the thoughts, if the thoughts disappear, you can return back to your breath. So you can observe the breath, how it rises and falls again. So while you observe the breath, maybe some feeling comes in the body with pain. Some pain, maybe on the back, maybe on the head, maybe on the knee. Any parts which are more prominent, you go to that spot, because if they occupy the mind, if they don't occupy the mind, you don't just ignore them. There's no point to chase after the feelings in the body. If they are very prominent only, you go to that place where the feeling occurs and mentally note what kind of feeling is this. I give you an example, like unpleasant feeling. So you can call it pain, but in this case, we call it unpleasant feeling because unpleasant feeling has many meanings. Means it can be a scratching sensation, can be some numbness, can be some itching, can be many feelings. Therefore, we call them all unpleasant feelings. If it is a pain, you can feel like pain, you can tell pain. Now, first step is to name it, what you observe. You know what the object is. You observe it is the feeling. You may call it painful feeling. You don't call it only pain. You know that this is a different area. This is the area of feelings. You may not painful feeling or unpleasant feeling. You have to use the word feeling because you know this is a different area now what you are observing. So you may not play unpleasant feeling or painful feeling, and then 2-3 times, then you go to the second part to see what happens with this feeling. After you observe, you can see that this feeling stays, and then it falls. Again, it rises, stays, and falls. Rises, stays, and falls. You mentally note whatever you see the rise, you mentally note rise. Whatever you feel is staying, you mentally note staying. Whatever you feel you see the fall, you mentally note fall. So if that unpleasant feeling goes away, wait and see. You see there is some relief. Okay, this relief is pleasant feeling. This is why many meditators, what they do, they release it. Now very nice. My meditation is very good. They forget to see that this pleasant feeling also rises, stays, and falls. That is also permanent. If this pleasant feeling change, they get disappointed. Wow, I wanted it to stay. It did not stay. Why did it went away? What wrong did I did? Why this feeling went away? So now this is the normal mentality of people. But in meditation, what we do we try to see what? That this pleasant feeling also rise, stays, and falls. Therefore, the meditator, skillful meditator, should also continue telling rising, staying, fall. If this pleasant feeling stays, one should continue staying, and see how it falls. So therefore, one does not cling even to pleasant feelings. Because if one expects a pleasant feeling to come, it does not come, the painful feeling usually comes. Therefore, now by observing these both feelings, the painful feeling or the unpainful, not pleasant feeling, one can see they have the same nature. They rise and fall all the time. There is nothing static in them. There is nothing permanent in them. So one does not expect pleasant feeling to come. One does not expect unpleasant feeling to go away. So because many people, if painful feeling comes, they want it to go away as quickly as possible. And they feel tension inside them. They feel stressed. So, but with this meditation, one does not need to do so. Why? Because one knows next time is going to go away anyhow. So therefore one does not get upset. So one gets this kind of equanimity in mind. So this is what feelings. All right, now I explained you these three areas. We have the body, the thought, and the feelings. It's very easy. The principle is the same, to see rise and fall. The object is different. The principle is the same, to see rise and fall wherever you see this. So it's not difficult. You have to practice it. You have to use these words. So, and mental note, whatever you see these things. Now with sounds, I already explained, with sounds come and so forth, you can also observe the sounds. Okay, we're going to start. So any question you have, you can ask them after we finish meditation. Now regarding the time, last time we decided that the time will be 45 minutes because now we reduced our meditation class once a week, that is on Sunday. And formerly what 2 times, now we have only 1 time. And that's why we decided to make 45 minutes meditation instead of 30 minutes or 35 minutes, what we did before. So therefore now those who can't meditate up to 45 minutes, they can try maybe 30 minutes. They can get up, walk a little bit, again sit down. So according to the capacity, you are in a private room. So then you get decide, but try as much as possible. Don't try to stress yourself. This is not about stressing. Try to observe it. You are observing what happens. You don't try to manipulate anything. So therefore now, but if some very discomfort appears in the body, you can't bear it up. You can get up, walk a little bit, again sit and continue meditation. All right, so then we're going to start. A bell is going to ring. For the check your devices. If your volume, the volume of your device is high, please moderate it because the bell will be may annoy you. Okay, we're starting. Wishing you good success. So the time is over. For some meditators, maybe a short time, experienced meditators. For beginners, maybe been a long time. So whatever the case is, now if you have any questions, if you encountered any difficulties, you can ask them. Because in this meditation, there is not only one object, there are many objects which you can observe, although they have the same nature. So there may be some difficulties in observing them. So if you have any questions regarding this meditation, you can ask. So there is one question in the chat box from Ditta Dhamma. He asks, what is the danger of the feelings? Kindly explain the danger for pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neither pleasant nor no pleasant feeling. How should we look at those feelings wisely and mindfully? Sati Sambhajanya, Yon Samanisikara. If one feels pleasant, unpleasant feeling, and so forth, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. So feelings play a big role in our life. So actually, the French philosopher Descartes, he told, I think, therefore I am. But for many people, it is not like that. For many people, it is, I feel, therefore I am. Therefore, feeling is more prominent. And actually in Buddhism, feeling plays a big role for our existence. First, we feel after we think. So if we observe how feeling plays a big role in our thinking, then you understand actually how feeling is, if we tell that I feel, therefore I am, is more philosophically more correct than I think, therefore I am. Now the philosopher Descartes, he was a philosopher, he was intellectual, because he was lost in many, many thoughts. So he thought thoughts are the most important thing in his life. But many people who are not very intellectual, they can see actually feelings are more prominent in their life. Now, regarding the danger in the feelings, of course, the Buddha has spoken in different suttas. One sutta, it is Maha Dukkha Khanda Sutta. The sutta is called the Discourse on the Great Mass of Suffering. In this discourse, the Buddha has shown what is the danger in feelings. He says, I will read you. He says, what is the danger in the case of feelings? Feelings are impermanent, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and subject to change, viparinama dharma. This is the danger in the case of feelings. So therefore now, we think feelings, they last for long, but they are not like that. They all the time change. From morning till night, if we have a list, it's called notebook with us, and write what are the feelings we experience from morning till night, we will be surprised. It's called what are the amount of feelings we experience. If we classify these feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, we count in every moment how many unpleasant feelings we experience and how many pleasant feelings are experienced. The most of the time is unpleasant feelings. So, and what we try to do all the time is to avoid unpleasant feelings, or struggle to avoid unpleasant feelings and try to maintain pleasant feelings. So therefore now, with this observation of the feelings, one has a good insight. That's why it's called insight meditation. Insight means one can have introspection. Introspection, what is going on in one's mind. So one can see how feelings play a big role for our decisions, for our thoughts, for our ideas. So then, but these feelings all the time change. There is nothing permanent in this feeling. That is the danger in these feelings. If we had, for example, a pleasant feeling today, however much pleasant, and we think, oh, may this last forever. Never, it may never go from me. And we could take this feeling, put in a bottle, seal it, and think it's never going to go. Okay, but does it happen like that? No, they change. That is the danger. They never stay with us. They go. Many of these feelings, we never tell them to come. Never tell them to come to stay. Never tell them to go. They go. So now, pleasant feelings, did we tell them to go? No, we want them to keep them, but they go away. So unpleasant feelings, did we tell them to come? No, never. But they come without our permission, without our license. They come. Without our license, they stay. Without our license, they go. So therefore now, who are these feelings? They are just, as called, conditioned. They arise because of causes and conditions, and they cease because of causes and conditions. And these causes and conditions also, they are impermanent. The feelings themselves are impermanent, and the causes and conditions which cause these feelings also are impermanent. Let's see, we see a pleasant sound. Because of pleasant sound, we get pleasant feelings. Now, the sound is the cause of these feelings. But this cause, which is the sound, this is permanent. That sound is also impermanent. The feeling which is produced because of the sound, that is also impermanent. Therefore, you can see also the tension in the feelings could change, and also the tension in the causes and conditions which cause these feelings to arise. They are also impermanent. So then, in that case, now the meditator does not cling to the causes, does not cling also to the effect, which are the feelings. So that is the tension. Now, how to look at mindfully? Wise and mindfully is the next question. So this is the practice, what the Buddha advised in Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse we explained today. So by seeing the rise and fall of these feelings. So that's why now the Buddha says, the next line is, what he asks is, and what is the escape in the case of feelings? How we can escape from this suffering which these feelings cause? He says, it is the removal of desire and lust, the abandonment of desire and lust for feelings. This is the case in the case of feelings. Now, the time we observe the rise and fall of these feelings, we know they are not going to stay. That's why you have no desire for them. We're not lasting for them. You're not craving for them because you know next time they are going to go. So now this observation of rise and fall, what the Buddha says in Satipatthana Sutta, is actually that. To give up desire for these feelings, to give attachment, to give what called clinging to these feelings. Once we have no clinging, no desire, this is the escape. You can escape from them, to liberate ourselves, to be independent from these feelings, not to be influenced by these feelings. So that is because we see the impermanent nature. The time you know that this is feeling going to go next time. So then we don't expect it to happen the way we like them to happen. So in that case now, if it changes, we don't mind. That is in nature. We accept it. If it does not change, we know it's called, but it does not happen. These feelings never become permanent. They are actually all the time changing. So therefore, we don't expect these feelings to happen this way or that way. That it will be wishful thinking, because most of the time we have wishful thinking. How our feelings should be, how I should be, how I should feel. But next time, we don't achieve that because these feelings cheat us. They cheat us many times. because they have no any substance, any permanent substance inside them. They are like hollow, like a bubble. Like bubbles, they come, they give us some excitement, and then next time, like a bubble, they burst and they go away. So therefore now, and if one observes these feelings, one will give up these misconceptions and these fallacies, and these delusions and illusions regarding feelings. And that is how one can give up this desire for these feelings and this craving for these feelings, or this clinging, and to be independent, not to be influenced by these feelings. This is called the Yonasamanasikara, to see the rise and fall, the impermanent nature of them. Now, there is another question from Chisla. The question is, the thoughts are usually come together with feelings. So which one should I focus? Thoughts or feelings? Both after another? Actually, sometimes feelings or thoughts, then sometimes become parallel. Thoughts, they are not never come together. They alternate, but they alternate so fast, we think are the same thing, or they are together. They're never together. So then, where to choose what is more prominent? You can choose one which is more perceptible to you, more evident, more obvious to you, what is more easy for you to observe. So that's why you have to select one, the feelings. Maybe the feelings are more prominent. You can choose the feelings. So then, but if the feelings are very fast, they come and go very fast, you can't understand them. You know they are there, but you can't understand them. Then you can choose the thoughts. So because thoughts may be more prominent to you, understand the thoughts more prominent. But if you can't decide, you can start one. You can choose with thoughts. You choose thoughts and continue with thoughts. So, and give more prominence to thoughts. If you can't decide, in case you can't decide, give more prominence to thoughts or give more prominence to feelings, one of them. Then you can see that the mind slowly can pick up with feelings more better or with thoughts more better. This is how you can solve this problem. Should we ask the following question? I just observe the body pain, not the feeling, as I don't have pleasant or unpleasant feeling about the pain. Is this correct or not? Actually, pain is on the body. Usually what we call pain is a bodily pain. Bodily pain, it is a feeling. It's not a thought. It's a feeling. Now, if, for example, we take a needle and we pinch our skin, then we can feel pain. Okay, this is a feeling. You feel it. Okay. Now, if our hand, for example, is paralyzed, we can't feel anything. If we take a needle and we pinch it, we can't feel anything. A person who's paralyzed on the hand, he can't feel anything. But our hand is not paralyzed. It has a kind of sensations. Sensation can arise on our body. So this is a kind of sensation. This sensation is a kind of feeling. In Pali, we call it Vedana. It's a Vedana. So this Vedana can be unpleasant, means painful feeling is unpleasant, can be itching, can be scratching, can be numbness. All these are called unpleasant feelings. So it can be also very sharp. If it is very sharp, we call it painful, because it's very sharp. For a needle, for example, to pinch our skin is very painful. We call it painful feeling. So, but it is called painful feeling. If you understand pain better, you can actually call it painful feeling, because this feeling is not a thought. The time you feel, actually, you feel first after you start thinking about it, or how painful it goes. That is a secondary thing. The thought comes later. The first comes the feeling. So in that case now, pain is actually a kind of feeling. And it belongs to the dukkha vedana. If you know the Pali word is dukkha vedana. Sometimes that's why I put also in the slide unpleasant or painful feeling. So because dukkha can be translated as painful, can be translated as unpleasant, because we have sukha vedana, which is pleasant. The dukkha is called unpleasant, but it can be also painful. So therefore, now pain is a kind of feeling, but if you understand pain better, you can mentally note painful feeling, because you know it's a feeling. It's not nothing else. It's not me, just a feeling. So that's why the Buddha says, it's called, there is the feeling. He says, so understand there is a feeling. There is not me, not myself, it's just a feeling. So, and try to see it objectively. So then try to tell painful feeling 2, 3, 4 times. Then you go to the second part, okay, which is to see what happens with this painful feeling, what happens with this pain. That's called, if you observe, it stays, it stays, it stays, and it falls. Again, it may rise, it can stay, it can fall. It can rise, stay, fall. It can repeat the cycle again and again. So if it stays for a long time, you mentally not staying. As long as it stays, you have to repeat this word. Staying. After it falls, you mentally not fall. If it rises, you can see the rise, you mentally not rise. Again, if it stays, you mentally not staying. As long as it stays, and then you mentally not fall if it falls. So therefore now we have to use these words. You have to use these words, it's called all the time, in order to keep your observation, your yoniso manasikara, your attention to what you observe. If you don't use these words, the mind does not know. Later, of course, if the mind becomes familiar with this practice, you can discard the word. You can skip these words. You don't need to use them anymore, because the mind knows what to observe. But in the beginning, it's good to use these words as much as often as possible. So in order to draw the attention towards the object. So therefore now, if you observe the pain, you can tell painful feeling, and then 2, 3 times, you only tell it 2, 3 times, okay? You identify what the spot is of this painful feeling, maybe on the back, maybe on the head. So you go there and mentally note painful feeling 2, 3 times, or maybe 4 times if you like, and then go to the next part, because the next part is more important. The most important, the Vipassana part is more important. We have to give emphasis more to the Vipassana part. And again, tell, rise, staying, fall, according to the condition, according to the how it happens. So there is a question from Jolanda. What to do when feeling sensation of crying rises? Try to retain tears or just let them go? So now with this meditation, we don't try to control anything. We just mentally note, okay? Because if crying comes, you can feel some tightness, maybe on the throat, maybe some sensations on the face. So this sensation is there. The tears are just the effect of this squeezing, because there is a kind of pressure in your throat, on your jaws, maybe on your eyes and so forth. And ultimately the tears come out because of this pressure. There is a kind of emotion. There is an emotion which arises only after the tears come out. So try to understand the emotion. Okay, what is emotion? Usually it is unpleasant emotion, unpleasant feeling, unpleasant sensation somewhere on the chest, maybe on the throat, on the jaws, in any part of the face. So try to concentrate on this sensation, the feeling. You mentally not a painful feeling, you can unpleasant feeling. You can tell unpleasant feeling. and 2-3 times, and try to see how it stays, and after you can see it falls. Don't try to control it. Don't try to chase it away, to somehow to remove it. No, you just observe it as it is. So don't try to manipulate it, to pretend that it's not there, or it is. Let it be, but try to observe its nature. So if you do like that, if it comes next time, you become much faster aware of it. Then you can observe it, how it rises and falls. So if it comes third time, fourth time, you become more aware. And ultimately, no tears will come, no tears. You observe, as soon as this sensation comes in your throat, in your jaws, everything and so forth, you can become aware of it. And then you become relaxed, because you know next time is going to go anyway. So therefore now, I hope you are going to stop crying and be peaceful. So there is a question from Yuli. Something has arisen in my awareness, not necessary from today, Vipassana, so I will ask. I have this very persistent feeling of responsibility, like I am responsible for people, events that I know I have no control over. And then in general, that I need to be super responsible person. My gosh. That creates tensions in my mind and body. Yes, I understand, of course. And then what does the guilt feeling falls into? Unpleasant feeling is my understanding. But what if it is very persistent? Was not able to be very present in today's meditation. Now, you asked about the guilt. Means if you can't succeed to control, you feel guilty. So now, guilt is actually now in Buddhist psychology, yes, it is because of feeling arises guilt, but it is a kind of anger towards yourself. Okay, it is an emotion. Now, feelings can produce emotions. In these emotions, in this sutta, what the Buddha explained, is actually accompanied by thoughts. Now, anger is an emotion. Fear is an emotion. Sorrow is an emotion. Sadness is an emotion. Guilt also is an emotion. But these always are accompanied by thoughts. That's why in this discourse, the Buddha tells thought with anger. It can be thought with fear, thought with guilt. So in that case, now guilt is a form of guilt. Guilt is a form of anger. So therefore, now we have to see that you actually try to blame yourself, that you cannot succeed doing this. You are responsible for this, but you cannot do it. Actually, you try to blame yourself. You are stopping yourself with these guilt feelings and so forth, that you did not succeed of doing that. It's a kind of anger, as called aggression, as called enmity towards yourself. So in that case, now you can tell it is as called thought with guilt. Okay, you can tell it thought with guilt, because if you tell feeling, you can't identify this feeling. It's very difficult. But it is, if you tell thought with guilt, then it becomes more prominent in your thought, in your mind. So therefore, try to understand it is accompanied with guilt. Because if guilt comes, you usually think an event that this I did not do, and you feel guilt that I was at fault. You try to blame yourself. So to attack yourself, to stab yourself that you did not do that in a proper way. This is what you get angry with yourself. So in that case, it is self-blame. It's a kind of self-blame. So you are attacking yourself. That is a kind of anger. It's thoughts with anger. Try to identify this thought with anger, can be thought of anger, or thought with guilt, if you can understand this way. Otherwise, you can't catch it from feeling. Feeling has produced this, has produced some guilt, but now the feeling is no more there. The thought appears as an emotion. So try to concentrate on the thought. You can tell thought with guilt or thought with anger. So in that case, it becomes more easy for you to understand it. Another question comes from Suawi. Should we have strong concentration first by practicing Anapanasati to practice Vipassana, or can we practice both Anapanasati and Vipassana in one day? For example, Anapanasati in the morning and Vipassana in the night. Yes, we can do it. This is nothing wrong with that. So then you can actually, because Anapanasati helps to somehow pacify the mind, to make it more calm. So, and after it is easy in the evening, at night to practice Vipassana, because this agitation of the mind is no more there, and one can practice Vipassana in a more efficient way. So you can do it in alternate way. So, or maybe practice one day Anapanasati, next time Vipassana. It depends what is more interesting for you. Main thing is now with Anapanasati, you don't get knowledge, the real knowledge of how things happen, how emotions happen, how thoughts happen, how our feelings happen. You don't get the knowledge. But Vipassana, some people, they like Vipassana more because they get also knowledge. And another thing is, Vipassana also get samadhi, because once you get in momentum to see this rise and fall again, so the mind gets also samadhi. So that is one way how people feel it easy to practice Vipassana. But it depends on you. So try and see what is more easy for you. If with Anapanasati, you feel more calm, more relaxed, and so forth, you practice Anapanasati. So in the night, then you can practice also Vipassana. So Yuli asked the following question. What about the hyper responsibility inclination? So then this is a kind of thing which some people have if they think that they want to control things. So then you must moderation. You have to keep some moderation. So you must know what the limit is and what people expect for you. If you overstep the limits, other people may get annoyed. So you must know, as called, not to overstep the boundaries. So moderation is very good. You must know to moderate, as called, understand what are the needs of the other people and how many responsibility you should take. And also what are the needs of yourself. Because some people, they think, I need this, I need that, and so forth. They become so over busy. So, and they think if I don't do that, everything will go wrong. So in that case, now we should take responsibilities in moderation. That is one way. So then in order to in order to to restrain your hyper responsibility, you must know some limit, and that is called your desires, because responsibility arises desires. We have a lot of desire to do this, to do that, and so forth. Now, with Vipassana meditation, you can observe desire. So thought with desire. Now, because of desire, you get angry also, guilt, because I did not do that, because you desired, you are craving to do something, and this and that and that. And if you can't succeed, then you get angry with yourself and you feel guilty. So therefore now you have to work better with your thoughts, okay? So try to observe your thoughts. If thoughts with desire come, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. So try to observe how these thoughts arise and fall. So in that case now, slowly you can moderate these thoughts. You don't get overdriven by these thoughts. That is, you have to work it out with your thoughts, not so much with feelings. Your problem is with your thoughts. So if thoughts with desire come, try to observe them. If thoughts with anger or with guilt come, try to observe them. This is the most areas you have to work. And also thoughts with delusion can be there, because sometimes you have to dream or fantasize. You fantasize, maybe this is needed, maybe that is needed. So the mind is all the time fantasizing, daydreaming sometimes, because you try to create something which is not there, and you think, I have responsibility to do that. So therefore now, your mind is actually fluctuating between desire, anger, and delusion. Try to work with your thoughts, more with your thoughts. Try to give emphasis to your thoughts. But if thoughts are no more there, try to go to the breath and so forth. Therefore now, this is the two areas you have to work with: your breath and your thoughts. So there is again one question from Ditta Dhamma, but I think it's the same, no? What is the danger for feeling? So then I think Ditta Dhamma has already asked the question, and I give the answer. So then it is the same question, I think. Because I gave the answer. Ditta Dhamma, have you been there when I give you the answer? Oh, he tells, oh dear, I miss it. Sorry, Bhante, I just logged in. My gosh.
No problem, no problem. He can watch the video later on and hear the answer.
Okay, the recording is still there. You'll get the recording anyhow. You can get the answer, no? I gave also the sutta.
Yeah, he can listen to the recording, Bhante.
Huh? Okay.
He can listen to the recording to hear the full answer.
Okay. So Michael, can you unmute Ditadama?
One minute, Bante.
Hello.
Okay. Wandami Bante. Good evening. Just now also in the midst of meditation, so I will listen again to the recording pertaining to my question. I have separate question. Let's say in the daily life, our sensory organ, which is the eye, the ears, the nose, and everything, and interacting with the outside object. So when we look at the pleasant object, we should be mindful, look at it from the different aspect of the asubha, right? How about if we look at the object that is unpleasant? How should we look at it wisely without being, because the normal behavior when we look at things or object or person that is unpleasant, then we are reacting that simply the anger arises. So how should we contemplate it wisely? I mean, from the aspect that is unpleasant object, Bante, and about the neutral object, and how should we look at it wisely, Bante? Thank you.
There are two ways. One is the way we explained today with Vipassana. If it is an unpleasant object, for example, if it is sound or some visual object, you can actually mentally not looking, or object, or sound, and see how it stays, and so forth. And then if it disappears, you can tell fall, all right? So that is one way to see and not to be attracted or repulsed by this object, because you know next time is going to fall anyway. So what is the point to cling to an object which is already impermanent? So it's going to disappear. That is one way. So then whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. So then the other way it is, if for example, this one has very frequent objects which are unpleasant in one's own environment. For example, unpleasant people, unpleasant situations, by which one get bombarded, means frequently, by unpleasant people, unpleasant situations. In that case, it's good to practice metta meditation. Metta meditation is to remove the annoyance, to remove the anger which arises within oneself. So with metta meditation, last time we made the class and I explained how to practice metta meditation by wishing oneself might be without anger or hate or hatred. So because these are the most common emotions which arise, can be also fear, can be stress, and so forth. I explained it. So then one has to identify what is the emotion. If it is anger, it can be hate. Hate is a more intense form of anger. Hatred is more intense. So it depends on the intensity, one should identify it and wish oneself may be without this anger. So, and try to throw one's attention to one's own body, because sometimes this anger is called affects all our nervous system. So, and wish oneself may be without anger, So, and then if one gets already got angry with somebody, one can wish other people also to be without anger. So, and to see how all these people also, they suffer, because if they get angry, if it means you can get example from yourself. If you get angry, you can see how much you suffer, because in that moment, this tension which arises. If you wish other people also to be angry, you can see also how these people also suffer. Then you have also some sympathy to them, because they are also victims of this anger. So then ultimately you can forgive them or wish them to be happy according to the situation, as called, if you feel not much anger towards them, you can wish them to be happy. In that case, now, whatever people around you, as called, you can wish them without anger or to be happy, and you can see how you can live in harmony with them instead of being in conflict with them. So that is, metta meditation helps a lot to cut off this gross feeling of anger. So after that gross feeling of anger becomes more subtle, it's easy to observe it with Vipassana meditation, how this anger rise and falls. That is also impermanent, and overcome any aversion to this anger. These are the two ways. Vipassana is one, and metta meditation is the other one. Against unpleasant feelings, against unpleasant situations.
Yes, Bhante. The thing is, at the outside world, the moment we are interacting with them, right? Sometimes the past memory, the past experience, even some words from others coming back to you, and the sequence is so fast that it hits you directly. That this sequence of what's that called, the anger, or like trying to no, don't come near me, don't I'm got nothing to do with you, but anything. But the thing is, this person or this object, anything is happening, and the sequence is so fast that even when you try to use metta meditation, it is a very, I would say, lots of time are quite unsuccessful. Is there any way that is other tips that we could do it at the juncture when the anger, because the anger itself is arisen quite fast, sometimes like precipitated by certain event, like maybe some event, then there's some memory coming back, everything, then it make it become very fast. It is very hard for us to sympathy to them that while we ourselves are burning with this emotion. How should we deal with it?
Yes, we can see if this emotion is very strong, you have to use other word, hate. It's actually hate. So then it depends on the emotion. It can be hatred, because people, you hate them again and again, actually you see them as enemies. They becomes like hatred from the past. All the accumulation of small anger, small hate, it accumulates and now becomes hatred. It becomes like enmity. Enmity means the time you see a person, your blood goes with the head. Okay? So that is actually a kind of hatred towards the person you have. So in that case, now you have to use more strong word. It's a hatred. May I be without hatred. Then you can grasp it better. If you tell anger is very weak, anger is actually which arises now. You got angry with somebody because he did some stupid thing. You got angry with him. But after that, you forget it because it's just stupid. Okay. But if that person does these stupid things again, then you get actually hate, you get wrath, you get hatred towards that person. That is when you have to use more strong words. So then only anger is very weak. It doesn't work. That's why in metta meditation, you have to choose a word which makes more sense to you. If it's a very powerful word, if there is a powerful emotion. Weak word, if it is a weak emotion.
So for metta meditation, I could use the word like, may I be free from hatred, right? Since the emotion itself is quite strong. Okay.
Actually, hatred is actually the anger you accumulated from maybe for 2-3 weeks, or maybe 1 month, maybe for years. You might have it from your childhood also, because once you got some perception, some impression from a childhood that this is very bad, which people should do. So now you see a guy doing it, you hate him. Because you accumulate this impression from childhood. And it does not go away, however you want. But with metta meditation, if you go deep in yourself and see how much hatred you carry with you, not because of one person, because of many people, because of your wrong impressions you have, that this should not be done like that, should be like that, That's people should not behave like that. They should behave like that. Because of these impressions, you actually carry this luggage of hatred from from the childhood. So in that case now with metta meditation, you can go up to clean yourself from childhood because you can remember episodes, events which happened, which triggered this hatred to you. And slowly, slowly, if you wish, maybe without hatred, you distance yourself from this hatred. You remove your mind from this hatred. And you don't feed this hatred anymore. This is how actually it works. If you remove the mind, you don't try to it's called to fight with this hatred. No. You just remove your mind from it. You don't feed it. And even this hatred having no fuel, no any nutrient anymore, it will drop. You need denourishing. That's why the Buddha speaks about denourishing anger, denourishing these emotions. How? By wishing may be without it. You just remove your mind. You don't leave your mind dragged alone by it. Get involved with this hatred.
Okay.
But you have to be patient. You have to be patient because these are strong emotions and they don't go away quickly. Okay?
Yeah,
so you have to work it out because this has been produced from a long time. A long time. You don't expect with 5 minutes like a magic pill. You take a magic pill, it will go away. No. Metta meditation is not a magic pill. You have to work it out. So you have created them, but you can uncreate them now. Uncreate them. It is a kind of uncreating things. Deconstructing. You have to deconstruct it. So it takes some time.
Allow me to slightly explain deeper, Bhante. I do have some friends advise me that when you say that when you encounter unpleasant person, you need to maybe look at the the good side of this person or the good side of this. Okay, object is okay. For the person, right? You look at the good side. But the thing is, as a common people outside, when we are interacting with the beast in the outside world, we are working, while we are in the family, while we are living, seeking for livelihood, right? Sometimes this thing, what is it called? It will make us, it happens so fast that when at the juncture of the anger, right, we become red eye. The whole thing cover up. We won't even able to see the good side or he or she. So how should we proceed at this juncture? So because the moment it is so like you mentioned, the strong emotion, hatred appear, it cover up your eye, then you like become like they call it like a wild bull with the red flag in front of you until the red flag being removed. Then you realize, oh, what's happened just now? Oh, all the destruction, all the all the action, all the word has happened. Is there any advice we could do it if such thing happen?
This can happen, but if you are sitting in your meditation room for half an hour, 1 hour, slowly, you become more aware. Awareness is the key for that.
Awareness.
Become aware of that and try to overcome it by wishing yourself maybe without anger, or without hatred, and so forth, without hate. Try to use strong words, because if it's strong emotion, try to use strong words. It's just not as simple as anger. So try to see how much you carry this, not for a person. You might have got the same emotions for other people also, maybe in a less degree and so forth. But it is a habit. It's a habit which can be developed from day to day, and ultimately becomes very strong. Without your knowledge, becomes very strong. So therefore now we have to work it out. It may take days sometimes to overcome, to reduce it. And once you reduce it, then you can actually see the positive things of this person, that he also is a victim. He also suffers. If he also has this hatred within himself, so he also suffers. He might not have to sleep well, he gets confused because of hatred. Therefore, slowly, you can try to sympathize with him. You see other people also as a victim. Because as we do have no much control of our emotions, like hatred and anger, Other people has also not much emotion, not much control. And who have taught them? Now, at least you have a technique. You know a technique, how you overcome it. But other people have no technique at all. They don't know how to start, from how to start. Therefore, you slowly have sympathize them, and slowly you can forgive them. Okay, let them be. Nobody is perfect. Who is perfect? Am I perfect? No. How should other people expect from other people to be perfect? Or however much stupid things they do, or I think they are stupid things. So then this is nobody is perfect anyhow. Maybe I'm wrong, because we can be wrong sometimes instead of other people. It depends on our perceptions. So then in that case, now we have to correct our perceptions. With this meditation, you can correct our perception. Even if we are correct, so we can see that other people they have no way to understand it, because we also, when we are about small children, how much understanding did we have? Little understand. Now we have grown up, we think we're more clever. We are more clever than others. So we have more big idea about ourselves. And we think other people are stupid, or they behave in a stupid way. So therefore, that is our perception. But we can correct it. So by saying that other people are also victims, like you see, because also we are not perfect, how we can expect other people to be perfect also. So in that case now, but these thoughts do not come naturally. If you don't reduce the hatred within you, hate you within you, the mind is going to produce all the more negative thoughts, because you get involved with that. You will feed these thoughts again and again, put them more fuel. But once you remove your mind, you wish yourself maybe without the hatred, without. So you remove your mind, you distance your mind from this flux of this hatred, of this emotion. And then this emotion, you denourish it. You don't give him any nourishment anymore. Then it will drop by itself. It will be reduced. Then only your eyes will see better how this hatred can fool ourselves, can also cause us so much trouble, so much suffering to ourselves, to other people also. So you have to try it. It is actually, you have to sit down and walk it. 5 minutes is not enough. 10 minutes is not enough. It's not an instant result, like instant coffee. No. You have to work it out.
Instant coffee. Right, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante, for the explanation. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu.
You're welcome. So then the others are silent, the others are listening. So then, okay, now there are no more questions, it seems. So you can use this kind of meditation of Vipassana meditation whenever you have time, especially it's called morning times are somehow very convenient for many people to meditate. For others, of course, in the night, if they like, they can meditate. So then to see the impermanent things of which we are surrounded with our thoughts, our emotions, but also with our environment, because this meditation does not only include ourselves, can include anything in our world which have the same nature. If we understand ourselves, we can understand also other people, and we can understand also other situations in our life. So, and the suffering will become less and less, the more we actually don't cling to these things which we have. Sometimes some people think Buddhism teaches that life is suffering. Actually, that is wrong. Life is not suffering. Buddhism teaches clinging to life is suffering. If we cling to things, we think that they are permanent, but they are changed. That is how we suffer. Life is as it is. We know the impermanent nature of life. That is not the problem. The problem is with us. If we have this wishful thinking, we cling to things, we think that they are permanent, while they are impermanent, and that's why we get disappointed and try to blame life. Life is not the fault at fault. It is we are at fault because we have a kind of wishful thinking. We imagine things to be the way we like them to be and not as they are really are. So with this Vipassana meditation, you can see how things really are, and then try to see how we've been fooled by this mind, which make us suffer by seeing these things as permanent while they are impermanent. So Irma asked the question, Bande, can we practice Anapanasati and when we practice Vipassana? Yes, this question has been asked by Shuai, and I already give the answer that
there is a video. I will send a video Bande next week.
No, it's not much. I just give a small answer.
Okay.
So then I give the answer to Shuai, and they can practice now. Shuai asked the question when you can practice Anapanasati in the morning and Vipassana in the night. I give you yes, you can do it. So because some people, they find with Anapanasati, they calm down the mind, and after the mind is very, very peaceful, it's easy for them to practice Vipassana. So then you can practice in this way. 1 time, 1 hour Anapanasati, after you can practice Vipassana. Or maybe some people, they do the following. They actually practice half an hour Anapanasati, and after the mind becomes calm, they start practicing Vipassana. So it is not a big deal. This is called combining, is combination of samatha and vipassana is called. Samatha is called samatha meditation. Like Anapanasati belongs to samatha meditation. Vipassana, it is what we have taught today. So then, okay, now today it seems there are no more questions. We're going to continue our class next Sunday, and will be about Anapanasati in meditation, because we're already told that we alternate between Samatha and Vipassana. So then it will be the same time like today. So those who want to join, they can join. So then, for the time being, we are going to conclude our class today, and wish you good success for those who want to practice and overcome the daily challenges in our life by understanding what is going in our thoughts, what is going in our feelings, and also what is going in our body. So then, in that case now, we're wishing you it's called good weekend, and also for those who want to participate, they are welcome to join next Sunday.
Thank you, Bante.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Bante.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bante.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bante and Michael. Have a wonderful week. And thanks
Okay.
for
Thank you,
everything.
thank you. Thank you also.
Thank you.